And a hearty good afternoon to you guys. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Doctor2Doctor in the Chat Room with Nicole and I. We're so glad to have you here. Even though it's kind of chilly outside, you can kind of cozy up in the house and listen to Doctor2Doctor in the Chat Room because we got a good one for you today. But we want to remind you guys to stay safe and use those necessary precautions to stay safe as we try to exit, it seems, this pandemic, but still do what you need to do to keep yourself safe and those around you safe. We get to talk about relationships again today. Dr. West is going to be introducing our great guest today, our very good and expert of a guest today.
Yeah.
He has agreed with his busy schedule and his own show and his own life and work that he does to come and be a part of this today. So we say thanks to him and we thank you guys as well for being here. How are you, Dr. Nicole?
I'm doing good. That's actually what a lot of my family calls me. It's cold. So
okay.
Yeah, you made me feel right at home.
Yeah, well, it's good to see your face.
I'm really excited to be here today. I'm excited to talk to our guest. I just, I love the way he puts things. I've listened to a couple of his lives on Facebook, and he knows what he's talking about. So I'm excited about that.
I think he might. We can't give him too much credit. He's already kind of over there, kind of blushing. So whatever.
Right.
Well, let's just see. Tell us who we have today.
Yeah, so we have Mr. Canion. I like to lovingly refer to him as Dr. Love, but he's been coaching and transforming people's lives for over 20 years. He's a personal development coach and a relationship specialist. He knows all about human behavior, so he's going to tell us all about what that looks like today. He has also been featured in Black Enterprise and Essence magazine. He's been on highlighted on CNN, Fox, CBS, QVC, Home Shopping Channel. I mean, there's not a whole lot that he has not been, and not a whole lot of places he hasn't covered. So we have the honor to have him with us today. Mr. Canion, thank you for being with us.
Hey.
Hey, we should have some music for you, but we don't.
We need some volume. We need some volume, Ken. Before you even start, we need some volume.
Oh, you're on.
We need you to unmute.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And listen, I was wondering whose bio that was you read. But no, I'm super excited to be here with you two lovely ladies. And let's we're gonna talk relationships, and I want to still be friends afterwards. I always tell everybody I do 2 or 3 interviews a week, and I always tell the host, look, I want to still be friends afterwards. We may not agree, but we're gonna agree that we love each other.
Well, you told us we were family. You told us that we were family, so we expect the same. Okay.
Yeah.
We are family. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So look, you've already talked about this with us, but I want you to share this piece with our audience. Do soulmates exist? And if so, how do you identify them?
Well, that's an interesting question. So I have an interesting take on it. And so and like my wife and I debate this all the time. I did a show once about, do you believe in soulmates? And, many of the people, because I'm a Christian, like many of the people who follow me. However, I have a different take than most people. And in soulmates, in the idea of soulmates, do you mean, let me clarify, that there is one person out there just for you, that was created just for you? Is that what you mean by soulmate?
absolutely mean that, because I believe that when most people speak of soulmates, they are thinking in terms of God made this one person on earth just for me.
Okay, well, I'm glad you clarified that because, and I will start this off with a story of this lady, and this is what made me question it, because I used to believe that, but I no longer believe that there is one person out there for you. And let me explain. Let me give you a little evidence. Everything I do, I try to not only say it, but I'll tell you why I believe it.
Okay.
All right, so let me give you an example. So let's say that was this lady. She was married 15 years. And she loved her husband, and they loved each other, and she just said that was my soulmate, okay? And he passed away, he died, and she thought she'd never find love again, especially on that level. And so 6 years later, she met a man, and she could not believe that she fell in love and married this man, and they've been married ever since. But she says he's her soulmate. Now, my question is, which made me question is, well, let me ask you this. Which one was the soulmate? Was it the first one or the second? Okay, I'm just asking, since there was one person,
maybe God got some backup soulmates.
So my wife and I did a show about this, and this is how I look at it. So for us to believe that, number one, let me go scriptural. There is no reference to soulmate in the Bible at all. All right. And so since we were in the Bible, let's stay there. The Bible says that he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing, right? But it don't say he that findeth the wife. All right. And so what my problem with the whole scenario is this, is that I believe there are soulmates. I believe, but a soulmate is a person who helps you express God's highest love and helps you receive God's highest love. And so from that perspective, both of those men could be her soulmate at any given time. And so when I begin looking at it from that perspective, the reason why I think it's detrimental to many people, because people like, I'm looking for the one, I'm looking for the one, I'm looking for the one. And they keep looking and looking and looking. And that's a fallacy. The fallacy is there is no one. I believe that what happens is we work together. Because think about this, y'all. I'm going to bring something up. The Bible says, be not unequally yoked, right? Okay, it talks about that. If your soulmate was there, you would already be equally yoked if there was a soulmate, right? It would never be a question of that. The reason that scripture is there is because whoever you decide that you choose, the power of choice that we have that God gave man, you choose. And what happens is based on that choice, you see if your core values line up, and then you can see if you can make it work. So the idea of having one person, I don't believe that. I believe in soulmates, but a different way. I believe in soulmate. A soulmate is one who helps you express God's highest love and helps you receive God's highest love. That's my take.
Okay, so that really prompts another question for me. Can a person be in love with two people at the same time?
That's a very good question. So by the words in love, I got to break everything down.
Yeah, let's break in love versus,
So, okay. This is good. Y'all ask me some
You get excited, y'all.
So here's the thing. The word in love versus the word love, right? In love suggests that I have a deeper love for the person on a romantic side. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Because that's what the suggestion is, right? Because I can love my mother, okay, but I can love my wife, then a deeper love romantically. Is that what we're saying?
Absolutely.
All right. So here's the deal.
Oh, Lord.
Here you go, y'all. Y'all better get it in, write it down.
The idea of in love, do you know what that is? All the idea of in love is just, we use the term in love, it's just a concoction of hormones that come together that give us a certain feeling. When we have oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin converging at one time, what happens is it gives the physical physical feeling as though it's euphoric, we're in love. Okay? That is the reason why. Do you ever notice how that damn feeling fades? Oh, excuse me, y'all. That feeling fades. You ever notice how it fades? Oh, I was in love. Woo, woo, my heart beat. I was in love for 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years. And now I no longer feel that way. So the idea of love, what we're conflating is the feeling that we feel. And so what I always tell people, in love is not based on the emotion, because that comes and goes. In love is based on the commitment. The commitment you have to the person. Okay? Now, that being said, you cannot be in love the same way with 2 people because the commitment is different.
Okay. So we did a show about this a couple of weeks ago, I think. And I think we missed this part, but what we did say was it was based on the connection that 2 people have as well.
Okay.
So,
the connection and commitment. Because I agree with the connection. Yes, the connection and the commitment. Because here's the thing. What we get caught up in is we get caught up in the feeling of in love. That is why we separate love from in love. Because you can love somebody, but you say, well, I'm not in love with them because the feeling is not the same. Because I don't feel the same, right? And really, the truth is, it's the connection and the commitment. Are they the same? And no, they cannot be the same at the same time for different people. I don't believe that, no. Because you cannot give the same connection and the same commitment to 2 different people at the same time. Absolutely not.
So we asked this question to a few men that we had on. I don't know. This is maybe 6 months ago, and they answered in a joking way. They were like, "Yeah, I'm in love with Jada Pinkett. I'm in love with Nia Long. I'm in love with, I forget whoever else they named."
Right.
They never really answered that question truthfully about whether you can truly be in love with 2 different people. But I like how you just broke it down for us.
Yeah, I mean, so, I'm going to break it down. Here's the reality. The reality, Nicole, is this. A lot of people don't know how to answer that question. They don't know the answer. All right. And so I used to believe that you could be in love with 2 people at the same time. So when I was in college, right, I remember I had my girlfriend back home.
Because it was convenient.
You took the words out of my mouth. Yes, exactly.
Right. I agree. That's the 3rd C, convenience, right? Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought you could love 2 people at the same time. But then the lady at school, the young lady at school that I was dating, I felt like, wow. But I told myself I love 2 people at the same time. But the difference was I didn't, because the connection and the commitment was to the person up here, where I went to school at, and not so much back home. And so once it made that switch, but what we do is we say that to make ourselves feel better about our behavior.
Yeah.
That's why we say I'm in love with 2 people. So now, because so it makes me feel better about my behavior. And if somebody else sees it, makes them feel better. Well, he loves 2 people, or she loves 2 people. That's BS. So that's the doctor.
So do you think that's why the divorce rate, or maybe one of the reasons why the divorce rate is so high, because people don't take time to foster the connection? I mean, we know obviously maybe the commitment's not there, but is it the connection part that people are missing, or is it that they're not getting to know each other from the beginning? Like, what's your take on that? The divorce rate.
I created a game all around this subject right here, because here's why. The divorce rate is over 50%, right? But this is the reason why. Because of the way we've been conditioned, a lot of it. Number one, we've been conditioned, a lot of us grew up in the church, and we've been conditioned to, people would say to me, and many people would say, hey, you date to marry a person, which is by far the dumbest advice I've ever heard, the dumbest, okay? I grew up in the church and I love the Lord right now to the day, but I go into churches right now and I tell them, stop saying that, because it's dumb. Let me tell you why. Because when you tell a person you date to marry, all right, you don't teach them what that is. You don't teach them how to get to know the person. You don't teach them anything. You just say you date to marry. So here's what we do. We go out ill-equipped. we're not equipped. And so the first person that makes the woman, I'm gonna start with the female, feel good. Oh, he loves me. Oh, I'm head over heels. I'm this and that. And next thing you know, she's like, he's my soulmate. I'm gonna marry him. The problem with that is you don't even know him. He doesn't even know you. And so that goes back to your question. The number one reason why divorces happen is because expectations don't meet results. That's the number one reason. Be it sex, be it kids, be it money, be it well, whatever.
Yeah,
I thought I was gonna get sex, but I don't get it. Expectations don't meet results. Now, what I tell people is this: you married a person that you didn't know. And so I have a 2C methodology that I teach people in dating. Number one, it's collect, then connect. See, the idea is you need to collect enough data because dating is collecting data. When you begin to look at dating differently, I'm collecting data to see if your core values line up with mine. But what we're scared of, the reason why they said that in church is because we thought we were going to be sleeping, people were going to be sleeping around. And you know, that's the wrong thing to do. But I'm not talking about sleeping around. I'm talking about dating. I'm talking about collecting data, finding out what are your core values? What do you believe in? What do you hold dear? And now when I find out what your core values are, I can determine, should I connect with you?
Yeah.
Okay, and without the emotions. And so now, y'all, I teach all my ladies, okay, date 2 or 3 guys. I didn't say we sleep with any of them. I said, go out and date and collect data. That's foreign to them because they've been taught to have this fantasy about the picket fence. Have this fantasy about, I'm gonna have a family, okay, cool, have that. But it might not be with this joker. It might not be with it, right? And you won't know until you see who is congruent with your core value system. And that's how I teach them to do it now. It doesn't, you know, a lot of them, it's different. But now they're finding their mates. They're finding those relationships. I know my methodology is unorthodox because I understand human behavior. I understand why we do what we do. I mean, why we don't do what we don't do. And so at the end of the day, the philosophies that we have are totally wrong. And that's why we're missing the mark.
Wow. I told y'all was in for a treat.
That's just my take. You know, I just been doing this a long time. I always tell people, I just look like this. I know what I'm talking about.
Well, I think we should talk about at least when we, come back from break, I think we should talk a little bit about your game and where people can get it and all that kind of stuff.
We'll be right back on 94.7 FM in just a moment.
And we are back on 94.7 FM. Thank you for hanging out with the doctors in the chat room this afternoon. We have none other than Canion, and he is
AKA Dr. Love.
Dr. Love. Yes, he is a relationship extraordinaire. Before break, we were talking a little bit about this game that he and his wife created, and so I want you to tell us a little bit about the game. If you tell us where we can get it, tell us a little bit about how it works and
So thank you for segueing into that. But let me tell you why, before I tell you where you can get it, let me tell you why I created it. I created it because I knew there was a void. So my wife and I used to do a segment called Pillow Talk. And we would talk about all kinds of stuff, all kinds of, everything. I mean, anything. It was real, it was raw, it was relatable. And what would happen is she would say, you ought to make it a game. You ought to do something. Well, tell me once. So I created a game, and here's what it was, along with her help. It's called the Moment of Truth. All right, this is the Moment of Truth original version. And what we did, we created it so that people could get to know each other. Remember I said before break that people didn't get to know each other. And what was happening is you were dating people that you weren't getting to know. So we created the game and you could get to know people in a real fun way. But each question is particular though. It helps you see how the person thinks. And then this became so popular, we sold thousands of them. And then we created the Moment of Truth sex version. Because people out here bumming and grinding, they don't know what they're getting into, emotions getting entangled and all screwed up, and you thinking one thing is not enough. And so we created the set. And and they sell like crazy. I just shipped out some orders today before I got on with you guys. But the whole idea behind it is this. You can get to know a person. You can play it with your girlfriends. You can play it with your significant other. You can play it with couples. Either way, it helps you see the world a little bit differently and see that, you know what, two people can be looking at the same cup and we see different.
Yeah.
And that's why we did it.
You can tell us when we are closer to the end of this show where we can get it, just so we'll keep it fresh on the audience's minds. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. I love for you to pick it up. Absolutely.
But I read this article, and the article was like the 11 signs a man is subconsciously in love with you from the depths of his soul. And yeah, I see how he's looking. I want to read a few of these to you, and I want to get your reaction to them.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Number one, he reveals his exact nature in front of you. There's no facade or pretense when the two of you are together.
Okay.
You agree with that?
I can agree with that. Because think about it. A man normally hides who he is. All right, unless it's a safe place. If he feels safe. And the only time he will reveal who he truly is, his fears, his desires, is when he feels it's a safe place. So yes, I agree. Yep.
He loves you just the way you are, and he listens carefully.
Yeah, that could be. I'm not gonna put a check on that one because he can do that with his side chick. He can do that with his side piece.
Okay.
He can listen to her, and a man will listen as long as he believes there's something on the other end for him. You know. So yeah. So
interesting.
I'm not gonna put an X by it, but I'm gonna put a little dash by it, make it neutral. Okay.
Okay. He doesn't keep any secrets.
I think that goes back to the first one. I think when a man shares his heart with you, absolutely. I think there's a part of you that he feels safe and that he feels that you are worthy of that information. Because at the end of the day, think about this, y'all. I am making myself vulnerable. I am making myself where if I share something with you, I could potentially be hurt by it. All right. And men don't want to put themselves in a situation where they could be hurt. They could be injured by it. So if I do that, I either feel one, that it's a safe place, or two, there is a part of you that I believe we're a team, that we're a team, we're together. So that's the reason why I would do it.
There are several more, but I'm only going to do a couple more. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't hesitate to share his finances with you.
Well, yeah, I gotta put a neutral by that too. I mean, the side chick can get her cable paid. I'm gonna buy her Louis red bottoms. I mean, I can do all of that with her. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if I got an abundance of cash, money don't mean anything to me, so I can spread it around. But let me add something to that. To know if a man is truly into you, he is willing to invest in you. And I don't mean just money, he invests his time. Remember this, a man trades his time for the things that he values. If he's not trading his time for you, he does not value you. And so when a man trades his time, his money, his resources, and his talent for you, then he values you.
Ooh, that sounds like our relationship with God. Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
His gadgets, you know, phones, etc., are no longer private.
That says something right there. That's a put a check by that one. Okay. Yeah. Because when he allows you into his inner circle and his inner world, meaning I don't have any secrets. from you. Like my wife has my passcode. So whatever, she can go into anything. She got the passcode to the bank, all of that stuff, my bank account, everything, because she's in my inner world. All right. And because she's in my inner world, I don't have any secrets. So yes, that is, I give that a check.
All right.
So
does
that mean then if a man is not is secretive maybe about his, gadgets, his passwords, his cell phone, is that a red flag that people should be on alert about?
It depends. It depends. What's the nature of our relationship? If we just, listen, I'm just being honest. If we just smash buddies, you ain't gonna get my passcode.
Well,
So
yeah.
that's not, you know what we are.
We're talking about a commitment relationship.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. It's a committed relationship that both parties have established. It's a committed relationship.
Okay, wait. So that brings up another question then.
I knew it would.
Because so often, two people in a relationship may be on different pages.
Yes.
Usually it's the woman who's on a different page because we have either assumed based on the amount of time we're spending together or what we're doing together, or we've had a conversation with you and we think we have the understanding that we're in a relationship. But sometimes y'all have a difference of opinion about that. So what is that about?
You know what you just said, the key phrase to it all. We think we have an understanding. And so because you're not sure that you think we on the same
page. And you haven't
page.
collected enough data.
And if a man, like I always tell you this, if a man says, until he says, this is funny, my wife and I had this conversation the other day, and I'm gonna tell y'all a funny story in a second. If a man says, if he doesn't say we're exclusive, you're not exclusive. You're not exclusive. If he doesn't say you're his lady, you're not his lady. I'm gonna give y'all, because here's the thing. What men do, here's what they do. I want to keep you in this space that we're in, right? I want to keep it, especially if my intentions are not to be in a committed relationship. I want to keep it ambiguous. We just flowing. We keep it. That's why men say things like, "We gotta put no title on it. We know who we are. We know who we are. Let's just keep it going." That's just. But what he's really saying is, I want the cow. I want the milk without paying for the cow.
Yeah. Now, if there's an establishment that there is a between both parties that this is a committed monogamous relationship, and there is secretiveness about gadgets, that's a red flag. That is
a red flag.
Okay.
That is a red flag. I did a video one time about how you know your man is cheating, and in that I talk about suspicious phone behavior.
So you getting ready to go into something that we get ready to ask you about. So let it go.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna go into them all right here. I was just telling, I did it, and I said, and I talked about it in that video about when he does certain behaviors with his phone. And I said, because if you ever want to know something about somebody, look at their phone. I'm telling you, our lives in our phone.
It's the truth.
If I want to know anything about you, all I got to do is look in your phone, and your phone will tell me everything. Who you texting, what you're saying, what apps you're opening up, all of that, what social media on, all of that. So yeah, that is a red flag when he's hiding, because he's hiding it for a reason. Yeah. I always tell you this: people don't hide things unless there are things they don't want you to discover. So yeah.
So I've watched several of your shows. I got to watch a few live, but I've gone back and I've just kind of been binging on some of your sessions. But a couple of the recent ones that you've done, Why People Cheat, and you also somewhere talked about it's impossible to fill this internal void with external things.
Right.
And I know those are like two totally different things. I just want to put them out there in the air so you guys can hear them and I don't forget about them. But let's go from where we are to Why People Cheat.
I mean, there are a multitude of reasons why people cheat, and we're talking about men and women. And I mean, if we were talking about it, let's start here. Number one, remember I said the number one reason why marriages don't work is because results don't equal expectations.
Right.
You had an expectation, but the result didn't match the expectation. You thought that you and your wife, y'all had sex in the car, in the garage, outside in the backyard, everywhere prior to getting married. And then when you got married, now you can only have sex once a week at best. So your expectation was, we're going to continue this trend because he never said anything different, all right? Or the expectation was, you're going to keep your job, you're going to look for another job, you're going to take care of the household, but you decide something happened in your life and you didn't. And so a lot of people don't know how to navigate it when things go wrong. So the first reason why people cheat is because expectations don't match results, okay? The second reason why people cheat is it's not just this physical, because there was a study, y'all, and the study was said, recent study, and that said you would think more men cheat, a lot more men cheat than women. Well, the truth of the matter is, because I coach women and men, I realized that that number ain't that far apart. Okay, women are better. Women are better at hiding it.
Yeah.
All right. So they say 23% of men cheat in relationships, 19% of women cheat. Okay, that ain't that far apart.
It's not.
But one of the reasons, but they cheat for different reasons, right? So a man may cheat because he doesn't feel appreciated. All right, because he doesn't feel appreciated at home. You know, and he feels like everything I do, I go out and work, I go out and do this. You never tell me, I know I'm supposed to work, but sometimes saying thank you, sometimes saying we appreciate you, sometimes saying instead of, I did a TikTok video that's gonna be aired next week. I said, where the woman talks about, always tells him what he's not, as opposed to telling what he is. Okay, I said, and that's all he is. Now, on the other side, the woman feels like many times she will cheat because there is no connection. She feels like that because the woman, a lot of times the women, you know, and this is the part I want your listeners to understand. Men and women view sex differently. A woman wants to connect, then have sex, okay? The man wants to have sex to connect. Do you follow me? The woman wants to connect more than likely, some of them do it, whatever, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about most women want to connect with you, then lead into sex with you. Now they know they're not connected all the way sometimes, so they'll give you the sex because the way men operate is, this is why a lot of people, when I counsel people in marriages and that stuff, and I say, are you giving them sex? I said, but you're using sex as a weapon because you don't understand how the man views it. He views it like, I have sex with you, it's the way that I'm connecting with you. When you withhold that, it's like you took my phone out the charger and we're not connecting anymore.
Wow.
And so that's part of the reason why people cheat. Another part of the reason why people cheat. Men cheat because, you know, validation. Before I got married, I used to cheat for validation. Years ago when I was single, and I always tell people I've been on both sides. I haven't touched another woman in 27 years. So, but I do know how that part thinks, that man thinks, because I was him.
Yeah.
But what happened was a lot of it is validation. You know, we want to feel validated. So if a woman allows me to have sex with her, she is validating me. I'm the man. That's why men lie about the women they've been with. They want to validate themselves as a person who they are. And y'all, all that is, that's a place of lack of self-esteem, honestly.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was gonna ask, because that almost reminded me of something that was said earlier, which was that you can't fulfill an internal void externally.
Absolutely.
But a lot of
men still broken.
Is what it's
still broken.
Like.
Yep, still broken. Yeah. Okay. So those are just some of the reasons why people cheat. And I guess the most obvious reason, well, not the main reason, but another obvious reason is that they're not sexually satisfied. I'm just gonna keep it 100. Let me say this to you. You got people that grow up in the church, right? Where you get married, you get married and you do this and then they act prudish when they get married. I know this is a family show, so I'm not gonna get into like I do on my show. But then you don't want we can only do it one way. We can only do this. Oh, don't touch them. No. And so what happens is I saw a YouTube video that was so powerful. And the gentleman was talking to his own wife. He says that you make me sign up for monogamy, right? Yet you want to withhold sex from me. And I thought that was the most profound thing I heard. And they were arguing. She was like, well, I didn't twist your arm. He said, but wait a minute. That was our agreement. Our agreement is you say monogamy. Be with me, yet you withhold the thing that I need to be mine.
Yeah. We're at break, and we will be right back on the other side of break with Ken Canion on 94.7 FM. And we are still here with Mr. Ken Canion talking love and relationships. He is giving us all the info on how to make this thing called love work. Mm-hmm. Lord have mercy. Right. Let's talk about the bad word, submission.
Okay.
Most people kind of think most people deem it as a bad word. I mean, I don't. I always say, first of all, the Bible says commit one unto the other.
Right.
One unto another. But I also feel like God ain't talking about committing to no knucklehead either. So if I have done what you said and I collected the data and I find that I got the right connection, I shouldn't have a problem with submission. And I also feel like it has to do with who, for the lack of a better word, has the expertise. Like, I may submit in the area of finances because I don't, do well with managing the money. Or, he may commit in some other area because I do better in that area. What do you think?
Okay. So number one, the word submission, the connotation behind it has gotten a bad rap. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because many women and men, many women and men believe that the word submission is a synonym to the word subservient. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it is not. And so what you just said in the Bible, it says submit one to another. I like the word collaboration rather than submitment. And the reason I like the word collaboration is because it's like you said, sometimes the word says submit one to another. Sometimes I submit to my wife. Like in my household, like when it comes to putting stuff together, like this table, this laptop is sitting on, my wife, I don't do that kind of stuff. That's not my role. So if she tells me, hey, hand me that leg over there. Hand me those screws right there. I'm going to submit while we collaborate on what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So what happens is the reason why this has gotten a bad rap is because a lot of people look at the word submission as subservient, especially women, because the good and the bad. Because women are making money, they're brilliant, they're making money, but then they in the corporate world and in this world of rising up the ladder, they have adopted this masculine energy too. And this masculine energy, it serves them well when they're in the workplace, okay? Mm-hmm. However, when they come home, the masculine energy doesn't work. It does not work, and they don't know how to turn it off into the feminine energy. So they think, I'm gonna stay in this energy, and I will only change it if the man leads me. He does this. If he make $150,000 a year, if he got a 12-pack ab, if he got 6 cars out there, if he go to all the kids' games, we have all these contingencies so that we don't have to follow. So that I don't have to place him as my leader. And I do believe in leadership. I don't believe in submission, but I believe the man should lead his household. And I think on both sides, I think women have created this scenario of the reasons why they don't want to follow the leader. And I think men have created scenarios where they want to twist a woman's arm to make her follow him. That's
well, you know, we, you know, women are, you know, have over time evolved and are very successful, and you know, and so, you know, you hear women say a lot, I don't need a man, and I don't, you know. So I think if that's your mentality, you know, that collaboration piece that you're talking about, Ken, is going to be difficult. I mean, especially for like the women that make more money and you know than their male partners or what have you. Yeah.
And I think when you have situations where, you know, maybe the woman, like you said, makes more money, or she's been in, you know, relationships that have failed, or where, you know, the man, you know, didn't add up to whatever her expectations were.
Right.
Then I think you run into a situation where, like you said, those women who might feel like, I don't need a man, I can do this by myself. And then they get into a relationship with someone who wants them to submit, and they're both bumping heads.
They may not even want them to submit. They may just want to be partners in the marriage, and she still has this takeover. Yeah. Right.
So let me ask you a question. When a woman says, like Miss, and they, you know, they got songs, Miss Independent, when they say things like, I don't need a man, do you know what they're actually doing? Does anybody have a clue?
What they're doing? I think they're writing themselves out of the equation for one thing.
Well, what they're doing when a woman says that is it's a coping mechanism. I say that because I have to justify my current situation. I don't know why my camera keeps going off. I don't know why, y'all. It's just going off. But I'm gonna say this. It's a coping mechanism, and that coping mechanism, it's only coping because you're justifying why I'm single. All right, that's number one. The second thing is this: what you're doing when you say that. I tell first, all my students don't ever say that again. I said, because what you're doing is you're creating resistance for you not to receive the very thing you want to receive.
Wow, okay.
Because think about it, we're all energy. We're a body, we're soul, we're spirit. We're all in, and if you look at all of us under mic, we're all energy. That's why you say, if you look at human form under microscope, it says that we're all vibrating at a certain frequency, right? And so we're putting out energy. What happens is that's why we attract certain kind of energy back to us. The energy that we put out, we attract back. Whenever you say that, that energy goes out, and you attract back people who don't want to be in a relationship, who are antithetical to having a relationship. And so now you keep wondering, and then you keep perpetuating the same thing.
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing with you. You're just sending out the energy, attracting people who want the same thing.
Right. That's self-fulfilling prophecy, and you don't even know.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I say, instead of doing that, say, I do want a relationship. And I deserve a relationship. I do. And now all of a sudden the energy changes, the shifts. And now you set yourself up to have the very thing that you want. I had a lady, a female that I coach, is in a relationship right now. First thing we started 7 months ago. And I said, first thing you got to do is stop saying that. Okay. And now she told me today, we talked today, she was like, I didn't realize, you know, this. She said, now it's work. And I always tell people, listen, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it, but you get everything that comes with it. You know, you say you want a relationship, but do you want the work to go with the relationship?
Yeah.
Do you say, I want a fine man. I want him to be tall, dark, handsome. But are you ready when other women find him tall, dark, and handsome when they're looking at him? Are you ready for that too? Because you get everything that goes with it. I always tell people, you think you're ready for a relationship, but you're not. Now let's focus on changing you so that you can have that which you choose, that what you want.
Wow. So let me ask you this: would you agree or disagree that men struggle in the area of effective communication? Not every man, but okay. So with that said, Why is that so difficult for our men in particular? I don't know about other ethnicities, but why?
Because we've been groomed to be that way.
I said it too, didn't I, Nicole? I said it too. I said the way we grow up and
the way we grow up.
Mm-hmm.
What do they tell us? You don't cry.
Yeah.
Don't tell them because you don't be weak.
Yeah.
Don't be. And then as you grow up, don't be a little bee. That's what they tell you. And so what the man does is what he associates sharing my feelings with is a negative thing. So he internalizes the thing that he feels. That's why we have so much mental health going on, y'all. We have groomed a nation of men who do not communicate because they've been told that communicating is a bad thing. And now I teach a man how to communicate, and he looks at me like, oh, dude, I've never been taught this. But he sees that it works with his partner. He's like, I wish I had known this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why.
Because I've been in situations where like it had such a negative connotation that I'm a communicator, that it made me not want to communicate because of what I expected to happen or not happen as a result of, I felt like I felt like, I have felt like people thought I was confronting them just by trying to have a discussion.
And then defenses, get put up and and you want to avoid that next time.
So you just don't say anything. Yeah. And then what happens? You just got one big old ball of fester.
Yeah.
Because ain't nothing.
So now that's what they need. That's why they need Dr. Canion's coach.
That's where you come in.
That's where I come in. That's where I come in. And it's funny, I'm not laughing, but that's when they invite me in, when they can't communicate. And what I do is I show them, because it's not about the communication as you think of it. It's about sending a message that the receiver receives the message that you sent. Not just hears the words, but they hear the message. And a lot of times you don't convey the message based on how the receiver can receive it. And so that women do the same thing with men. You just say it, right? Men do it, just say it. Now the message gets misconstrued in the process. And you say, I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. All right. And you're right. And it is a problem. It is a problem in our relationships. That's the reason why my wife and I, we wrote a book called The Canion Culture, Creating Relationships That Last, because we almost got a divorce 14 years ago. And we could communicate. I couldn't stand her. She couldn't stand me. And one day, if you look at my videos in my group, you all are in my group, right? Both of y'all in my group?
Yes.
Okay. If you look at the video, how $7 saved my marriage, I pinned it up at the top. When she said, pull over in this Wendy's parking lot, and we realized that our communication styles were different. We were taught different. And we came up with a conflict resolution system that has saved a lot of relationships, and including ours. Yeah, including ours.
That's beautiful.
So as we were talking about communication, it kind of brings up another question for me. Exes in relationships, should you continue to be friends with them when you have moved on with somebody else? Should you no longer communicate with that person? I know, circumstances might determine different, outcomes, but generally, what do you think about that?
I think that depends. I think it depends on, okay, so allow me to there is
break it down.
How there is no yes or no answer with me. Okay, and so it all depends on, first of all, let me say this, and I never said this with y'all. I don't get into this moral judgments about relationships, like what's good or what's bad. A lot of us say, "Ooh, that's bad." well, oh, that's good. And when you get into moral judgments like that, you stifle yourself and you put yourself in this hole. So what I teach people is, instead of saying bad or good, let's look at what's working and what's not working. What works for me and what doesn't work for me.
I like
Okay.
that.
And so when you look at it from that perspective, if I'm in a relationship with you, and you just broke up with your ex, it doesn't work for me that you're communicating with them, because I feel like if you have, I don't know what the ties were. I know that you guys broke up. I may not even know how, but right now, while we're connecting, that doesn't work for me. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some people it may work for. There's my camera again. Don't know why, but I'm gonna turn it back on.
I really love that just the phrasing, it doesn't work for me, right? Because it doesn't make the other person feel defensive. You're not pointing the fingers like you are doing this, you are making me feel certain. It doesn't work for me.
Right. And so that's how I look at it. And so when you say, should I keep in touch with the ex? If it doesn't work for you, for your current relationship, does it work for your partner?
And that's how I have verbalized that before, like that. And I have said to a person, like, I don't want to be the person to tell you what not to do, right? I know this doesn't work for me. It doesn't feel good for me. So if that's what it has to be, then I have to just accept that. And you have to accept that it doesn't work for me, right? So I totally agree, because I know people that, may not have any trouble, whatsoever about it for varied reasons,
Right.
And then, there's always that human gut thing, that vibe, that feeling. Things make us feel, a certain way. Not suspicion, but a true gut vibe kind of thing. And I feel like,
Intuition.
Intuition. Yeah. There you go. And I'm saying, if every time I came around Canion, I get a certain feeling, something didn't make me feel right. Every time I come around Canion, I don't, I kind of don't want to be in that space, and I know that's not energy. The best, that's not energy. That's not the best example, but you know what I'm saying? But we know as humans when something doesn't feel right. Mm-hmm. We know when we feel unsafe. We know when we feel safe. We know when we're in a safe space. We know when we feel loved and protected and cared about. All of these things we know. Who was it that said people may not remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel? We know how things make us feel. So I agree. You just say what works for you and what doesn't, and then both parties have to decide how important is this that we make some adjustments or some adaptations in this situation.
Mm-hmm. And it's all in how you present that too, though. Mm-hmm. You might say it doesn't work for me, but if you present it like, look, I don't care what you do, but that don't work for me. And we're gonna do something different. I had somebody tell me the other day. I told him what we ain't gonna do is that don't work. I was like, okay.
So I should take that out of my language, my vocabulary. You saying okay?
What we ain't gonna do.
That doesn't sound like me. Oh. Let's be clear.
Yep, that's another phase.
That's a phase.